opens with dramatic, suspenseful music and visuals of grainy WWI footage, flashing between Hitler at a rally and shadowy figures in trench coats. What if World War II had ended a year earlier? What if the most infamous dictator in history had been eliminated not in a Berlin bunker, but by a sniper's bullet, a poisoned cup of tea, or a perfectly timed explosion? It sounds like the plot of a Hollywood thriller, but this was a very real top-secret plan. This is the story of Operation Foxley, the audacious British plot to assassinate Adolf Hitler. The year is 1944. From the smoke-filled backrooms of London, a clandestine organization known as the Special Operations Executive, or SOE, is tasked with a monumental question. Could killing one man save the world? The SOE, Churchill's Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare, specialized in espionage, sabotage, and reconnaissance behind enemy lines. They were the ghosts of the war, operating in the shadows. And their most ambitious shadow operation was aimed directly at the heart of the Third Reich. The argument for assassination was compelling. Intelligence reports suggested that Hitler's increasingly erratic and disastrous military decisions were actually hastening Germany's defeat. Some within the Allied command argued that removing him might lead to a more competent leader, taking his place, potentially prolonging the war. However, another, more dominant school of thought believed Hitler was the glue holding the Nazi regime together. His demise, they argued, could shatter German morale, trigger an internal power struggle, and lead to a swift surrender. The SOE, driven by the potential to save countless lives, decided the risk was worth taking. The mission was codenamed Operation Foxley. The first step was intelligence. The SOE began compiling a meticulous dossier on Hitler's life. Every detail was scrutinized: his daily routines, his favorite foods, his travel habits, even the number of teaspoons of sugar he took in his tea. They mapped his movements between his various headquarters, the Wolf's Lair in Prussia, the Eagle's Nest, and his Alpine retreat, the Berghof, in Bavaria. The Berghof quickly became the primary focus. It was his sanctuary, the place he felt most secure, and therefore, the most vulnerable. Agents and informants on the ground, including disaffected German officers and captured soldiers, provided a stream of priceless information. We know, from declassified files, the incredible level of detail they gathered. One report reads, "The Führer is accustomed to taking a walk of about 20 minutes each morning between 10 and 10:30. He is generally alone. This walk is almost always confined to the grounds of the Berghof, usually along the path from the house to the tea house on the Muslanerkopf hill." This 20-minute window became the linchpin of the entire plan. With the when and where established, the SOE focused on the how. Multiple scenarios were workshopped, each more daring than the last. The first, and perhaps most cinematic, was the sniper plan. The SOE selected a top marksman, a man of legendary skill. He would be equipped with a specially modified Mauser rifle, the same type used by the German army, fitted with a state-of-the-art telescopic sight. He would be airdropped into the mountains surrounding the Berghof, accompanied by a German-speaking Pole. Their cover story: they would pose as Alpine troops on a training exercise, a common sight in the area. They would have to lie in wait, possibly for days, for that perfect moment during Hitler's morning walk. The shot would be taken from a distance of over 300 meters, a difficult but achievable feat for the chosen agent. The escape route was already planned, a grueling trek on foot over the mountains into neutral Switzerland. But what if the sniper failed? Codenamed Poison Pill, this plan hinged on getting an inside man. The SOE identified a potential agent, a man they codenamed Hitler, who was part of the staff at the Berghof. The idea was to smuggle in a selecting, tasteless poison. It would be placed in Hitler's tea or food. The poison was designed to be lethal but untraceable, mimicking the symptoms of a natural illness. This would sow confusion and paranoia within the Nazi high command. The agent's report, dramatized from files, might have sounded something like this: Hitler confirms access to the kitchen. He has observed the Führer's personal tea service. The third, and most destructive plan, was to sabotage Hitler's personal train, the American. The SOS demolition experts devised a plan to place a powerful explosive charge on a section of track the train was scheduled to pass over. They studied the train timetables, identified remote, vulnerable sections of the railway, and even considered bribing a conductor to provide exact timings. Another audacious idea was to poison the water in the train's dining car. Every angle was explored, every vulnerability probed. So, why didn't it happen? With agents trained, weapons ready, and plans meticulously laid out, why was Operation Foxley never given the green light? The answer is a complex mix of battlefield realities and high-level strategic debate. By late 1944, the tide of the war had decisively turned. The D-Day landings had been successful, and Allied forces were advancing steadily across France. On the Eastern Front, the Red Army was relentlessly pushing the Wehrmacht back towards Berlin. The debate within British High Command intensified. The argument that Hitler's inept military leadership was an asset to the Allies gained more and more traction. Lieutenant Colonel Ronald Thornley, a key figure in the SOE, wrote a now famous memo arguing against the assassination. He stated that with Hitler alive, the Germans would be led by a bad strategist. With him dead, they might be led by a good one. The fear was that a new, more rational leader might negotiate a more favorable peace, or worse, rally the German army for a more effective and prolonged defense, costing even more Allied lives. Furthermore, there was the question of martyrdom. What if killing Hitler didn't shatter the Nazi regime, but instead turned him into a mythical figure? What if his death inspired his fanatical followers to fight on with even greater ferocity, creating a powerful stab-and-dash-the-dash-back myth that could poison Germany for generations to come? The political fallout was deemed too unpredictable, too risky. The war was already being won through conventional means. The potential reward of a slightly faster victory was no longer seen as worth the immense gamble. And so, the order to execute Operation Foxley never came. The plans were quietly filed away, buried under layers of official secrecy, and the agents who had trained for this ultimate mission were reassigned. The war continued on its bloody path until its eventual conclusion in May 1945, with Hitler taking his own life in his Berlin bunker, surrounded by the ruins of his 1,000-year Reich. Operation Foxley remains one of the great what-ifs of World War II. It's a testament to the secret war fought in the shadows, a conflict of spies and saboteurs, of moral courage and cold-blooded calculation. It forces us to confront uncomfortable questions. Is it ever right to assassinate a leader, even a tyrant? Where is the line between an act of war and a simple murder? The story of Foxley reveals the complex moral landscape that leaders must navigate in times of total war. It reminds us that history is not just made on the battlefield, but also in clandestine meetings, through whispered secrets, and in plans that were never meant to see the light of day. These are the forgotten stories, the hidden footnotes of history, that show the true depth and desperation of the struggle against tyranny. If this hidden story of bravery and complex choices moved you, Help us bring more of these forgotten histories to light. Hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and ring the notification bell so you never miss a new video. More forgotten heroes and secret missions are waiting to be remembered. Thank you for watching.